It is the Matt Mosley Show. You watch it every day at 1 o'clock. Thank you. Scotty Swingler alongside, as always. I am in studio today here in the beautiful Alico Building Studios, Rogue Media Network. We've got it nice and toasty in here, and it's winter outside, but boy, it's kind of a balmy, about 78 to 80 here in the Alico Building. We appreciate everybody who's making that possible as we get ready to have our signing day show. And you're like, where you been? What's going on? Why are we starting at 1:45 or something? There is a reason. I went to Baylor's signing day gathering. I visited with Dave Aranda. Before that, we had a session where he went through the class, and it was so. There were a couple of good moments for Dave. Scotty, you'll kind of like some of this. The one was somebody was trying to, like Parker Ream or somebody was kind of like, is that today? Because Dave Aranda was down on the ground, sitting on the ground, and we were in that beautiful Fudge Development Center with looking on the screen, and they were showing the highlights, and it's a big, huge theater. It looks like, honestly, an NFL thing that I was in recently with the Cowboys. Beautiful area. We were sitting in the huge theater area, and Dave was on the ground, and the reporters were asking him things as we went, and someone later during the when we started asking about the AD and what he's going to do and how he's going to change and all this kind of stuff, like somebody said, he said something along the lines of, is that that film stuff, is that your wheelhouse? And he's like, not really. He said something like, I've run out of wheelhouses. It was kind of a good moment because everybody's kind of down right now. The class is, they lost one player to Rice. They lost another kid to Oklahoma State. We knew about the Jamarians departing to University of Texas and Michigan, respectively. And then Jordan Clay departed for Washington. So, we did press him on it, and it's very unfortunate that we finally got Dave to do and heads up, props to the PR folks over there at Baylor, Brent Ingram and his entire staff, because it's not like they haven't wanted Dave to do more of these type things. And, I think whoever's idea it was, they executed it very well. They had the media in there. Dave went through the film of all the people coming through, and then he did, 20 minutes of answering questions. And the questions were not easy. They were not all pleasant. And this was not a live thing. Scotty, we might be able to beam up. This is not Star Trek, but maybe tomorrow we'll Baylor will put this all on YouTube. Today's press conference with Dave Aranda. Oh, man, when I have the mic like this, Scotty, and then the headphones that sound great, and everything's beautiful, and the lights are shining on me, I do find myself making those Aranda-like sounds, like that one right there. He does a thing where he tries to. That's kind of a calling card for him. And I find myself kind of wanting to do that. And I think it has to do with when I'm on a real hot mic. I think the mic can really get you with just a powerful groan like that. Oh, you remember?
Last time you were here.
Oh, I know your size.
The last time you were here, it's like I barely breathe into the microphone. Oh, and at a level that our YouTube audience probably can't even perceive.
And it was killing me.
You were giving me a hard time. Yeah,
it was throwing me. I kind of like to think of you. Like I can't see you through these bright lights. I like to think of you kind of like as Robin, and I like to think of myself as Howard Stern. I don't know who we're going to have on today.
I thought when you said think of me as Robin, you were going to say you think of yourself as Batman.
No,
that's how I would have finished.
I was thinking the Howard Stern show. Now you don't look like Robin, but you're a very jovial, fun guy, and it's kind of that. Right when I'm in here and the lights are on, I almost feel like we could do some Howard Stern type things, but that would probably get us in trouble. All right. So we're probably not going to go down that route too far. Breaking news. today that we're going to be talking about. We'll also talk about this Baylor class, and we'll talk about the people who actually, I mean, you know, it was kind of sad that your Novosad dropped out, and people weren't talking about the actual class. And there were players, and this is the culmination of many years of playing Pop Warner in junior high and high school, and they have this huge announcement. You know, there's part of me that hates letting the story, right? The big headliner for Baylor, which is they lost all these guys. They lost like 5 people in this recruiting class, kind of like right as they were, you know, needing to cross the goal line. I will say Aranda was very upfront about it and just said it was a fight, you know. Certainly it's disappointing that they couldn't do it. And there were players in this group. Quinn Murphy's one of them, Scotty's favorite, probably from this class. He was upset and, you know, trying to keep everybody together, and the guys were fighting. So what I like to do on this day, Scotty, is to, whether it's via graphic or whether it's you just reading a few of the names, I like to honor these kids that actually held to what they were going to do. And I don't, and Dave was very quick not to be mad at the people who decommitted, and in fact said, hey, they got to know their families, and who knows what could happen down the road. So he does not seem like a guy who's going to burn bridges.
Well, in this era of portal stuff, how many times have we already seen kids transfer, and their first thought to transfer is the programs that did a good job recruiting them out of high school? So, you know, I wish all these kids well and success, but, you know, if a Carlton or a Vincent or a Jordan Clay has a rough freshman season, doesn't play as much as they like, struggle, doesn't fit, whatever, you know, the first place they're going to be inclined to call this time next year, if they think about transferring, is Baylor. And so you have to take that approach. Not that you expect any of those guys to end up in Waco, but you gotta take that approach.
Yeah, and I passed some of those assistant coaches. We did this thing today in that Fudge Development Center. What a nice place. Jeremy Fudge, my old college buddy. It was a nice deal, and I got to go down the hall, Scotty. I was called upon to get to kind of peek in. I had, you know, in the old complex, I had, of course, done interviews in Matt Rule's office and had been in Art's office. I remember Art one time hollering down to somebody, Heath Nilsson or somebody, get Mosley, one of those. It was when I wasn't really covering the team. I was more of a fan, more just, hey, that's my alma mater. I'm going to stop by and see everybody. And Scotty, you'll remember this because you were either in school or right before you went to Baylor. Like, they had these great, Art used to wear those black windbreakers on the sideline.
Yeah.
I always wanted one. And so I told Art one day, I was in his office, and Art starts calling around the building, yo, can y'all find Mosley one of those black windbreakers? And boy, I had it for years. I don't know what happened to it, but it was one of my all-time favorites. But there we were. So I'm in a different role now. And, you know, I will say that Dave Aranda, though, and I don't know how this is going to go. There was a question in the press conference today where Smokey asked something along the line. I was asking, like, hey, what does a coach need for an AD? What does I forget. I had 2 or 3 questions. I'm sure, Scotty, that were great questions. Maybe we'll listen to them tomorrow. I can't really remember. They were so great, I barely remember them. But I felt like we were all asking some pretty good things, and Dave was trying to give the best answers he could. Because next, I kind of wanted to know, too, what are you going to do with the staff? Like, how quickly does that need to happen? And now that they've had signing day, that's going to start happening in a hurry. All right. And I also, and so at some point, Smokey, and remind me, Scotty, as we get to the 2:00 hour, I floated an AD name out yesterday, and it was met with a collective, just everybody's mad. It's like, oh, they're like mad at me. I'm not interviewing these people. I just heard a potential name for AD. And I kind of threw it out yesterday on Twitter, and people lost their minds. They didn't like the name, and the people that where he's an AD now don't like him. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. But we will cover that. Scotty, Smokey says something like, Dave, at your age, and I guess what he's saying is Dave's probably what, 48, 49. He's, maybe pushing 50 at this point. Can you change? Can you, because like, Aranda has indicated, whether it be with the media, other things, I need to change. And so Smokey was like, can you change at this age? Kind of like, you've been here 6 years. This is about to be the 7th year. And Aranda was like, yeah, absolutely. I can change. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then when asked about like, okay, what could those changes be? He just was like, I've got to look at everything. Somebody asked him like what success looks like next year. And he said, well, I kind of need to see us put this team together. And before I say what that is, but he understands it can't be this again. Like they can't. He's got zero shot of lasting if he goes 5-7 or even 6-6. He acknowledged that. He said, and I'm looking down. In fact, I'll put on my regular glasses, even though these lights are just really something. He said got to look at when asked about what the change. I think they're going to evaluate everything. Got to look at everything. Got to look at how we lift, how we defend. He didn't necessarily say for sure he was giving up play calling. He did say he had to work through, the way I remember it. Let's see if I wrote that down. He said that he has to work through his status. Now, obviously, he's coming back, so not his job status. And I did hear him later in the day say something about like how he said it almost in passing. It wasn't like, feel sorry for me, but he was like, I know what it is for everybody not to want me here or something like that. And so I think people that think he doesn't get it or doesn't look, and he doesn't check social media and all that kind of stuff, but he does enough. He has enough self-awareness that a lot of people wanted him gone. And he knows they've got their work cut out for him. And these questions were asked about NIL and does Baylor have enough and what's Baylor going to do and all that kind of stuff. And he's going to try to do, and even people were asking like, you need 10 million, like, what do you need? And he's like, basically, we need all we can get. We need every bit we can get. I think now from an NIL perspective, every Power 4 school in Texas is ahead of Baylor. Scotty, can you think of someone who might not be? Like Power 4, I'm talking about. And SMU obviously has joined the ranks in the ACC. I think Baylor's behind them. And that happened in a hurry because SMU raised all that money to go in the ACC. I do not think there was a time when Chad Morris was there and Baylor was thinking about hiring him. And that would have been a no-brainer for Chad Morris to come to Baylor. Now, I do not think, given the current status of Baylor and NIL and portal and everything, I don't think this would be some kind of move up for Rhett Lashley. As much as we would like to think it is, I don't think that's the case. So, Scotty, am I not thinking of anybody? I think Baylor, when it comes to Power 4 schools in the state of Texas, is last, right? There's nobody. I can't think of anybody else that would.
I still struggle, Matt. I understand your logic.
It's not logic. I'm saying I think it's just flat out a fact that we don't have the money that SMU has.
Well, I struggle to put us underneath SMU. I understand, though. I understand your argument. I can ruminate upon that. But I struggle with that. I do. From a historical perspective, heck, we just had our worst season in a long time, and we beat them in September.
True. But in terms of NIL, I'm not sure it's close. I don't know if it's.
Yeah, I just don't know. I just think at your peak, it's.
Well, we're not.
Again, I'm naive, and you live in Dallas, and so I don't have the greatest perspective. I think you can still.
You think I'm too close to
recruit.
The SMU campus?
I think you can recruit and build better here. I think the facilities are better here. So, but hey, whether we're splitting hairs against SMU or whatnot, Baylor is certainly behind the big schools, A&M, UT, certainly behind Tech at this point, which might be leading the state by now. UNT, not a Power 4 school. If they win this weekend, they're in the playoff. I mean, I would never say that's a better job than Baylor, but there's a Texas school that feels better today than Baylor does. So Baylor's in dire straits, no matter how you split hairs here.
Exactly. He was asked if he wanted any say, like in the AD, and which come on. I mean, like, what are they going to do, Dave? Would you like to come on the search with us? What are you looking for?
Yeah, that's
Dave,
ridiculous.
AD?
That's ridiculous.
And so he said, no, I've got other things to work on, which is obvious. And he said, of President Livingstone, she's amazing, so I trust in them. He mentioned Jovan and Cody. All of this is in really good hands, he said. And then he said, we've got to, quote, find ways to get more and more money. Find ways to get more and more money. It may be too late. He did say that, and I wrote this down now. I got he said, get my status on defense figured out, is what he said about himself. So he's got to decide who's calling plays. Are they going to bring in a new defense coordinator? What that's all going to look like. So it was an interesting day. Now, just to be full transparency, I've said loudly on here plenty of times that, Dave has not helped himself with the media. It could have done so much more, and that hasn't been great. And I think they've tried to get him to do more. And I did see signs today. So if the question is, can he change? Maybe. I had a really interesting kind of private visit with the head coach today, and I saw signs of a guy who may be ready to do the thing that I saw Parcells and Art and Bryles and Rule and anybody have really ever been around. These coaches understand it does not hurt them one bit to have some relationships in the media. I mean, it's why right now people are watching us, Scotty, is because, like, over the years I've had all these relationships with these ADs, and so I know them and know who's being contacted and all that kind of stuff. Well, they get it. All these people understand, and for whatever reason, Dave just did not really see value in that. That's okay. Like, when you're winning, if you don't see value in it, I get it. You're just like, well, things are going pretty well, but they did not capitalize on what happened in 2021, and then they were slow on the NIL. And they're even now are still behind in both NIL portal. Now, the silver lining in all of this, Scotty, it's like, okay, Mosley, we're in a full state of depression. We're all on the ground crying and doing all that. All these guys that left, which there's like 5 of them, I would say 3 of them were getting really good money. How much money did that free up? 1.4 million, 1.5 million, 3 guys, somewhere around there is what I would say. The 2 Jamarians and Jordan, and we got 2 Jamarians left. I like these Jamarians that stayed with us. And what happened, 17 years ago to have all these moms and dads name their kids Jamarian. I love the name. It's got a great, but it's just so interesting that it's become such a popular name, or at least in that time frame, it was extremely popular. Scotty, who is the most famous Jamarian that we know? Is it like one of these kids or one of these current? Do we have any Jamarians that we know, like that are a little bit older in the field of entertainment? Or
the first name that came to mind was Overshone, who's just a few years older than these kids.
Wait, who are you? What do you mean Overshone?
Oh, his name's DeMarvian.
Yeah.
Okay. So there goes that. Sorry.
That's a good theory. Okay, so this is a new batch of Jamarians.
Yeah. I'm struggling to think of one.
Okay. There's got to be somebody. I bet there's a couple of decent Jamarians in the NFL. But anyway, the two that stayed, and there was one guy that kind of got my attention today. And Scotty, I wanted to feature him when you talk about this Baylor class, because there's a couple of different ways you can do this. We can come on here and we can talk about all the horrible decommits and, oh my gosh, what a dark day. And I get all that. But they did end up with, I don't know, 10 to 15 players that hopefully will turn out well. And now, what I was getting at, Scotty, is that money that they were not paying the two Jamarians, Jordan, they can now go into the portal. And that is where Dave has made it extremely clear they've got to hit on these defensive linemen and offensive linemen and build inside out. And then ask about, well, you kind of whiffed on a couple of them in this last portal. Like, do you need to reevaluate your do you need to look at your evaluation process? He said, absolutely. I mean, I think now you look more at production, traits. There's a lot. I mean, I think they're having to kind of strip it down and start over looking at these things. Scotty, now you probably have the class pulled up in front of you. There's a young man, just correct me if I have the name wrong, but Tyrone Morgan.
Yep.
Remind me where Tyrone is from. Is he Dallas area? Is he from Louisiana? Where is Tyrone Morgan from? He may be a Louisiana kid. But the thing I loved hearing Dave say about him today is that almost every morning to Dave,
Baton Rouge,
and his teammates, okay, cool, and his coaches, like, he's sending all these motivational messages each morning already. The kid's still in high school. He has not reported. Now, maybe he'll be one of those early guys that shows up in January. I don't know. But, like, this guy all along this time has already started sending everybody. So I always love some of these kids that have probably been huge leaders at their high school, and then they're already doing that. I think Quinn obviously is a great leader, plays for Jason Witten there at Liberty, at Argyle Liberty. And one thing Dave did today, for those of us in the media, that we all gathered in this big theater, and he just put all these players on tape, and he just went through some of their highlights and talked about what they did, and he said this kind of cornerback and this. I also thought we got some interesting information, Scotty, on like how sometimes we see things. Like I don't necessarily come out of the season thinking like the corners were great this year or anything like. And he didn't try to say that, but he did say, if we're wondering like which coaches are safe and that kind of thing, he thought Paul Gonzalez did a great job, and he actually thought the corners on this team overachieved.
I agree with him. Yeah. And we knew that when we brought Paul Gonzalez in, that he has a strong reputation in having coached under Coach Patterson for so long, for elite defenses, putting guys in the NFL from that position. And I thought so too. If you think about LeVar Thornton, young Caldwell Williford, struggled at times, but made plays at times. I think a couple of those guys really overperformed what we expected of them.
LeVar. And who was yeah, I guess so. I just think I was so let down by just the overall performance that I had trouble singling out any one group.
It's totally fair, but I think where you saw Baylor's defense getting beat this year was at the point of attack, and in the run game and run fits, and we talked about that seemingly all season long, where Baylor got beat a lot last year that they did not this year was on the deep ball, or wide receivers making big plays. I mean, Jordan Tyson had arguably his worst game of the season while he was playing against Baylor. Baylor secondary did really well against him. Now, teams don't have to throw the ball at you as much when they can gash you up the middle for,
As I recall, Auburn didn't really have to throw it all.
At all.
They ran like crazy, and the quarterbacks ran roughshod over this team. But it's interesting to see it evaluated that way, and that the corners at least had a good season. I'll be very interested to see who calls plays for this defense. If they bring in a defensive coordinator, I think I don't know what they'll do. Like Matt Pallage, I'm not sure what his future is. I would just say, he was praised today by Dave Keenan and Dallas and Pallage for like the work they put into this class. And think about how devastated you guys feel out there. Some of the Baylor fans, and oh my gosh, we lost these kids. Oh, this is horrible. Well, think about the guys that like actually know these kids. Spend years working on this, and then the excitement of getting these commitments in the Waco area just to lose them to Michigan and Texas at the last minute. And Dave could have taken the easy route today of saying, yeah, we didn't have enough NIL money, or they beat us on money. And he didn't say that. He said it comes down to wins and losses. It comes down to we didn't win enough. We didn't win enough to close these guys. I like that. I appreciate that. I mean, did Texas come in and have more money to spend than Baylor for one of the Jamarians, Carlton? Yeah, I'm sure they did. And so, but you don't want your coach up there saying, well, we got money whipped. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's what happened. But he said we did not win enough to close those deals. So, and you know what? I think, and part of this may be self-preservation, but I think Dave's I heard things today, and I'm not saying, oh my gosh, everything's going to be different. Next year's going to be great. I don't know. He understands how bad this situation is. And I think he has an inherent understanding of how fortunate he is to keep coaching this team. And it took some weird circumstances to have that happen. I will just say I encountered a different Dave Aranda today, and I ended up having a bit of a private conversation with him. And I've always said this, like I remember seeing him at the Big 12 Media Days after he'd lost his father, and we had a little one-on-one time, and I just thought, and he was like very open and candid, and I remember thinking, my gosh, this guy is kind of amazing when you get to visit with him, and yet he won't let most people see that or be a part of that. So, I see glimpses every now and then of like why people in the building, are willing to fight for him. Again, none of that matters when you're 5-7 or you're losing, and he understands that as well as anybody. I just think it'll be interesting, and it may not be enough. Here's what the fan base would love to see. It's just them throw some haymakers in. Baylor needs some wins. They don't, these kids are great. We're going to talk about them. We'll talk about some of these recruits. We're about to talk about this K-State situation. What a weird thing to wake up to K-State fans. And I'm sure a lot of the fans are excited because they apparently had a line of succession ready to roll. But I think there are people that are part of that program and still kind of like in a little bit of shock what's happened there. But what Baylor needs, Scotty, is some big time wins. And it's not going to happen this year in the win column. It's not going to happen in the let's go 9-3. Oh, could the Bears get in it? Nope. It's already gone. Can't do that. They could get some wins in the portal. And Scotty, we both know that it's all it takes is to get some momentum. Let me tell you how you get momentum. You either start landing, when the portal opens in a month, you come out firing and you get some people and you put together some incredible portal class, and maybe Baylor's put a little bit of a war chest and they have a new AD and there's a vision, there's some clarity about where you're heading. Maybe that gets it. There's another thing, Scotty, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do it or whatever. I heard, there are some positions on this staff, and I heard recently a possible change that could happen. And I'm not going to say the name because I don't, what if they don't make a change? And then the person who still has a job is going to feel really weird, right? It's the way it works. But there is a position on this staff that if the person is hired that I think they kind of want, it would It would jazz the fan base. It's not going to make up for all of it, but it would give the fan base a moment of a fist pump, like one solid fist pump. Really all we're needing right now is just kind of.
I have some suspicions, by the way.
Gotta win. I know we're not going to guess. We're not going to guess.
I'm going to guess on the break.
You can say anything you want off air, but we're not going to.
Sure
No on-air guesses. And but it just interesting things are happening. But I did encounter, I don't know, this guy. I encountered a human today, and I think sometimes we just kind of see the football droid or like a football robot, Dave. Like this guy's, I mean, is he really? He's talking about how they were in practice. Like I encountered a human being today, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that experience. And yes, if you're wondering, I'm representing for my local high school today because it is National Early Signing Day. Lake Highlands Wildcats. All right. I think our quarterback, in fact, Chuck Smith, is signing with TCU today, the Horned Frogs. So salute to Chuck and then all the Wildcats who are signing today. Always fun. In fact, I'll be going to the football banquet coming up soon, I believe on December 11th. Okay, Scotty, let's take care of our folks. Thank you, C&B. Thank you for what you do. I'm going to go see some of our folks this afternoon. I'm going to go find Brazos Landing, and I'm going to run over there. I mean, find it almost like it's discovery. It's not like an archaeological dig, but I'm going to drive over there. I'm going to walk in, and I'm going to give the Lindsays a hug because when I'm not in town, that's one of the things I miss. Wow. The Brazos Landing. We call it the landing at the end of every show. All right, Scotty, lots to get to. We've got Kansas State situation. I'm going to shed some more light. I've been talking to potential AD candidates. I floated a name yesterday. Some people hated it. It would be interesting. Mosley and Scotty discuss the Baylor situation and signing day. Let's go over a couple of these names. I like some of these kids. My gosh, get me Tyrone Morgan. I ride with Tyrone. All of that coming up next.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform.
At your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. And when it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. With the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. Don't click on links in emails and text messages. Scammers send emails and texts that look real, saying there's a problem with your account or your order. Don't click. Don't do it, ever. Instead, go directly to the company's website and log in there.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Baylor Nation rolls along with Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Start with award-winning service and factory-trained techs. Then shop our new and used lineup. From cars, trucks, to SUVs, all makes and models. Running a business? We're your Central Texas headquarters for ProMaster vans, cabin chassis, and work trucks. For power and comfort, test drive the Ram 1500, the Motor Trend Truck of the Year winner again. Allen Samuels in Waco, proud partner of Baylor Athletics.
Come by, let's be friends.
It's the Restore Clarity Focus Patch, my little secret weapon for staying sharp, focused, and on task. Each box comes with simple instructions inside, so you always know exactly how to apply it. Each patch lasts for 3 days. I love that I can wear it all day.
But boy, it looked effortless.
Man, watch this.
Layups, floaters, threes. He was like an unsolvable equation.
I was born like this.
His resilience, his strength, his belief, adversity never stood a chance.
Know your power.
It is the Matt Mosley Show. Scotty Swingler alongside as we come to you live from the studios right here at the Alico building. And what a day. What a day it is. Baylor having their signing day. I just came over. I was a little late today, spending time with Dave Aranda and the Baylor staff. And here in a minute, I'm going to ask Scotty just to rip off a few of these names. And by ripping off, I mean just say a few of these names, and want to kind of spending the whole time talking about who didn't show up. I mean, it stinks. I mean, one of the things that was very exciting about this class was the fact that they got some local guys, and Temple, and obviously we're hoping that we'll get word soon. I believe we will, that there's a great university player that signed, but the two Jamarians, 2 of the 4 Jamarians checked out recently. And then another one, Jordan Clay, checked out on the Bears. And so it's very frustrating, especially when you land some local talent, and it's great to see them go and get some. But Dave Aranda basically owned it today and just said, we didn't win enough. We didn't win enough to keep them. And you would love the idea of those players wanting to come here. But if I'm one of those other schools, Scotty, I mean, how easy is it right now to negative recruit Baylor? You barely have to try, right? They went 5-7. They don't have an AD. Their AD got fired or whatever, resigned in the middle of the season in a scandal, and they're bringing back their head coach. But, I mean, nobody, knows what the new AD will want to do. Like, he may get evaluated for 1 year. It's not – the Baylor situation is not one that screams stability. And so the one thing I was reminded today, being around Dave Aranda for about an hour today, is there's some things he does really well, and there's some football things that I love hearing him talk about. And I did enjoy a little bit of time with him, kind of a little bit different than usual, but he knows this is about winning or losing. And right now they're in the tank. And I think I heard him say the line, it's got get a little bit darker before we can see the light. It's got to get a little darker. And Scotty, that's when I need it to get a little darker before I see the light. I just put on the sunglasses. Okay. And oh, look, people calling me from our past as we're live on the air, Scotty, people, broadcasters checking in. I saw Grayson over there today, and he's followed this class like crazy. And so I was glad to see some of those guys like Grayson be up there on the front row and be able to ask about the players and these recruits as Dave showed the video of them. Again, it's just a bittersweet day. It's wonderful for all those families. And I think it probably stinks for those families to kind of understand that the fan base right now is in an uproar, and they're mad at anybody they can be mad at. They're mad. I mean, honestly, they should be most mad at Mac Rhodes, but Mac's not around. Mac's, holed up somewhere. So you can't really direct too much anger toward him. So next you go with President Livingstone. And I do think that's where a lot of the anger is headed right now, rather than Dave Aranda. And that's okay. I think everybody needs a break occasionally. on that. I'm not trying to encourage you to, but I'm just right now. And here's what I'm hoping, Scotty, is that whatever this secret crew that's holed up, and it may be part of her vice president council, the council that she's, but this is a small search party, and they've been very tight-lipped, and they are, and I see like on Sicko, I saw, well, they're close to hiring somebody, or they're this or that, and then I'll hear somebody go, well, I still think they could be 2.5 weeks away, and this Dave thing bought them more time. So which is it? I don't know. I can just tell you, I don't quite understand. Okay, I'll tell you a couple things, and then I'm going to get to this K-State thing too. Yesterday, and I put this out on Twitter yesterday when I heard it, the name floating around, little birdie put it in my ear, that Hunter Yurichek was mentioned as a possible Baylor AD. Now, again, he has ties to Mac. He replaced him at University of Houston. He then got hired at University of Arkansas. He's made good hires. He's made questionable hires. Applewhite, I think, was one of his at Houston. Applewhite, went 8-5, whatever. But then, of course, they brought in Holgerson after that. That didn't really work. Then they put in Fritz. I think he was already gone for the Holgerson hire. I'd have to double check. I'd have to go back and take a peek at that. But he did bring in Calipari from Kentucky to Arkansas. Now, Kentucky was tired of Calipari. I get that. But that was still big. And he brought in Musselman to Arkansas. And that guy had a great run, no matter what you think of him. And he was a weird guy who loved to take his shirt off and stuff like that. But that guy had a great run at Arkansas. Anybody who tells you Musselman didn't, he was like Elite Eight, Sweet 16 almost every year. Went to like 2 Elite Eights, I think, at least one. He was right in the mix. Musselman did a good job at Arkansas. Yurichek is now the funny thing about it, Scotty, is where are we seeing Hunter Yurichek these days? Oh, that's right. He stepped in and replaced Mack Rhodes as the chairperson of the College Football Playoff Committee. Now, in Arkansas, where he just hired Ryan Silverfield, and I would not say that hire has people like dancing in the streets. The guy is doing pretty well recruiting. He's flipped a bunch of people right away. He's the coach from Memphis. Yurichek just hired him. And then Yurichek, on top of having to hire a football coach, is the college football chairman, playoff chairman. I don't know. The boxes he checks, probably even more than Mac did in this area. Mac certainly understood the faith component at Baylor. I would not say Mac was he wasn't Grant Taft in that area, okay? And we will leave it at that. That's just not I would just say from a Baylor fitting, whatever we look at, the mission fit they call it, the what you would think would fit Baylor, Hunter Yurichek is that guy. And he's an outstanding Christian guy, great family, the whole thing. All right. So that is a name. I will say when I put it out there, Scotty T-Rex, and some of these T-Rex is always a very thoughtful and measured response. Oh, I get along with him fine. I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him for sure. But, he was not pleased. A lot of people were not pleased. No, we don't want him. I continue to be baffled because Hunter Yurichek has plenty of ties with Mack Rhodes. So if you're going to get past that with Hunter Yurichek, I'm not sure that's who they're going to hire. I'm just saying that's a name I was hearing, and I put it out there yesterday. Like it baffles me. Like Jeremiah Dickey at Boise State. Scotty, think about all the boxes he checks. He knows everybody. He's gone to Boise State. He hired a great coach. They seemingly play in the championship game every year in football. They're actually, I think, went to the tournament last year in basketball. So the basketball program's not bad. He at a place that they don't have, you wouldn't think you can just raise a ton of money. He's found a way. He's found a way. And I mean, what they're doing at Boise State is extremely impressive. And he's turned down Power 4 jobs. He's had some opportunities. So the fact that like President Livingstone or the search firm that's running this, Eastman and Bodine is that search firm. Bob Bodine's the guy. Like the fact that now maybe it's just they know Jeremiah and they think they don't have to reach out to him. I don't know. But the fact they haven't reached out to him, to me, is just weird. Like he checks like so many boxes. And then he allows you to move quickly. I mean, he knows exactly the changes that would need to be made in the department. He knows who shouldn't be in the spot they're in. He knows every single thing that's not where it should be. And maybe that's it. Scotty, you ever thought about that? I thought about that driving down here today. Do you think there's people within Baylor who know that Jeremiah might make a change? Like Bushing's like, don't bring him in. He may knock me right out of my job. Stuff has to change. There's some stuff that's going, and I just think right now you need a fresh start. And again, I was around a bunch of people today over there at the administration, and man, this high school where I live, Jovan went to this high school, and she's been a good friend, and she's been a steady hand during some really rough times. So I just want to make sure I'm representing that there are a lot of great people within this administration, but change is about to happen. And I did ask Dave. I did not, when it was asked about like, is he going to be involved in the AD hire? That I don't really understand that, but I did ask, like, what is the most important? What does a head coach need from an AD? Because I just I thought it'd be interesting because I want, he's had Mac, he had the guy at LSU 2-3 ADs ago that he's been around. I'm just kind of curious. I was curious to what he might say, and it really came down. He didn't get too far into it, but just like they have to share the burning desire to win. Like it has to be that everything. And I think that probably was the case. I think Mac lost his way, sadly, but I don't think there was ever a question of Mac's burning desire to win. I think he was extremely competitive. If anything, and Scotty, you've been in churches, you've been, in business now, you've seen different ways, different styles of leadership. Mac was not I do think sometimes in that profession, as cutthroat as it is, it's like I used to watch head coaches with NFL quarterbacks, and the one thing you couldn't do is throw your quarterback under the bus. You had to always have your quarterbacks back. And one important thing of the AD, you got to hold them accountable, but you also, like if they're getting battered and getting killed by the fan base or whatever, you gotta lift them up. You got to pick them up every once in a while. You got to, like, if everybody's hating on them, including maybe some people on their own staff, you got to bring them along a little bit and pep them up. And man, Mac, you saw that listen, that thing that happened with the tight end, that trig, that doesn't just come out of nowhere. Oh, Mac's not himself. Oh, Mac's different. Hey. Mac runs hot a lot of the time, and he's emotional. And I think a lot of times he's channeled that for good. A lot of times it's like, you want somebody representing you when the officials mess you around in a game. You want an AD that'll show up and take his fine and go after the officials. I mean, that's a guy, Mac in a lot of ways was a foxhole guy, but when things were rough, they were rough, and he could be emotional. And I would say that's one area I feel like Dickey's a lot different than him. He's competitive as anybody, but he also is like an extremely compassionate guy. Now, another guy, like I said with Juracek, huge very open with his Christianity. Great family guy. So checks all of those boxes. So I guess what I'm saying right now I talked to Ren, I don't know, 2-3 days ago. He hadn't heard anything. I mean, Dickie, that's wild. That's wild that you wouldn't at least reach out, even if just to kind of just go, even if the reaching out was like, we can't go, sorry, you would be an incredible candidate, but because of your associations with Mac, we can't go down that road. Like, even if it's just that, I would reach out to him. Like, the fact that they haven't talked to Dickie is just strange. Now, Yurichek's an interesting name. And, the guy at UNT, that I don't really seem to, be hearing much on that. So I don't know. Maybe they are circling in or closing in on somebody. But all these names who we immediately thought of are not really being contacted. Yurichek is, again, very interesting. And I got to watch it when people float names by me. I got to always, I kind of have this time of year when crazy stuff, I've got my BS alert up high, my antenna. One time I heard a rumor, and it was true, by the way, it wasn't just a rumor, but when Baylor was about to hire Rule, and man, I was trying to land that, figure it out, and get all that, and Rule, Mac did a good job of keeping that one really quiet because Rule was not who everybody was talking about. And there was one person that Thamel had reported at Virginia Tech. I think his name was Justin Fuente, something like that. He used to be at TCU. That was a name that was out there early. And that didn't end up being the hire. They ended up going with Rule. But somewhere in there, I get word that Gundy has reached out to Baylor. And it was still when Gundy was doing just fine at Oklahoma State. So that to me was, whoa, that's interesting that there's some interest from Gundy. But I would say in that coaching search, I let that take my eye off the ball a little bit because while I was kind of like, well, this is an interesting story. Here comes old Matt Rule. Here comes the man that to this day, even as the losses mount at Nebraska, Scotty Swingler, he would crawl all the way to Lincoln today if they could bring back.
If he would sign a contract to come back to Waco, I would bear crawl to Lincoln and back. I just want to be very clear. Lincoln and back.
Are you a good bear crawler at any point in your life?
In high school, when I was in the best shape of my life, I was good at it. Yeah. Now I can't imagine I am, but would I do it for the greater good of Baylor University? Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
Scotty, why has this show gone by so quickly? Oh, because we started at like 1:40.
We started very late.
Okay, here's the thing. Let's do that. I keep promising this. I do want to talk about this K-State thing because it's a Big 12 story. It's a massive story today, especially in that part of the country, in the Midwest, the flyover states, right there in good old Manhattan, Kansas. They woke up to some shocking news today on the head coaching front. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to speak about it, and I'm going to talk about that fan base today in relation to the Baylor fan base. And Scotty, if there's anything we do before I say good night or good afternoon, please let's read some of the names of these kids or put up a graphic or something. I want to praise and give those kids their due. And there's nothing you can give those kids today. There's no more important thing you can give them than a mention on the Mosley show. I think that is life-changing, Scotty, and I think you'd be the first to say that. Today, by the way, I'm just looking at the thermometer here at the Alico building, 87 degrees today. 87 degrees in here, about 50 outside. But boy, with all these lights and everything, if we could get the temperature down just a little bit, just like into the mid 70s, I would drive to Waco and be in the studio every single day. That's my commitment to you. All right, next, the K-State saga.
Bubble wasn't here, I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
At Matt Piffle, we believe in celebrating your journey. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mappiffle.com and start celebrating your story today.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia. Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
whypersonalloans.com. Request a loan anytime. Our partners can offer loans up to $35,000 with varying rates and terms. Review your loan offer with no obligation and decide what works for you. Visit personalloans.com today.
This is what $500,000 in a duffel bag looks like. Actually not real. That's because it's actually prop money. It looks realistic from a distance, but up close you can see it says for motion picture purposes. Visit propmoney.com today to get your money seen or money shot right with Prop Money Inc.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. U-Like.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Visit vivosun.com today and get started.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform.
At your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
It is the Mosley Show, and right back here with Scotty Swingler. And we've been playing a little bit of catch-up today because I've been with Dave Aranda, and they had the signing day extravaganza over there, a little gathering, looked at film. Dave sat there, took us through some of the film, got to do that. The assembled media today in that Fudge Development Center And that's a neat place, and it's a really cool place to get to visit. And I was trying to think when it was being built. Maybe I've had like one tour, but I've never really gotten to wander around. It's kind of an amazing place that they've put together. And then to step out right there at coach's office down there on the corner, you could step out of the balcony, and there's the river, and there's McLean Stadium. There's all the stuff. And so anyway, when you're there, you're kind of reminded, and Scotty, you hit on this a little earlier. We were kind of debating on, I mean, I was making the argument. I think Baylor probably is now last in NIL and portal money and all as far as Power 4 teams in Texas. And I think your point was that you still want to see Baylor as ahead of SMU as a program. And though SMU just suffered a really rough loss to Cal that left them out of going to the ACC championship game and a possible chance at another CFP visit, I think Baylor has fallen behind. And the thing is, sometimes people on the sidelines, somebody texted me today, and they were maybe they were in Chicago or something, and they said, "Yeah, who's the owner of the Blackhawks that has a kid going to Baylor right now?" And it just reminded me, there's so many people that we don't even think about. We only think about the people whose names are on the buildings. There's Scotty, think about, I mean, we know so many people who've gone on to be just hugely successful. And right now is a tough time, though, to go, hey, throw a bunch of NIL money in here. Come in here and really funnel some money in here. Yeah, we're not winning, and we couldn't really get this class across the finish line. But, man, and we're going to keep a coach because we don't have an AD right now, but we need you to really pump this money in. So I think and he didn't say this, but I think what Aranda probably wants to say too is, okay, thank you for bringing me back. I also, whoever's making the decisions on like how much of the revenue share we're getting at the university and how much the football's getting right now, I think everybody right now is fighting for their share. And there's a belief of this football program that it's just not enough there right now. And the problem is there's not enough success to drive the dollars and get people in. I did see signs today, and I spent a good 45 minutes to an hour around Dave Aranda. I saw signs that Dave is going to try to do some things differently. And that's not just, nobody cares, Mosley, he's going to be nicer to you. No, I'm not saying that. It's more about, I think they're going to evaluate a lot of things and come at things differently. And yes, I think he's going to have a little bit different relationship with the media, and by way of doing that with the fan base, because as much as people love to hate the media and get mad at the media and all that stuff, and ESPN, SEC, and we had somebody on yesterday, Scotty, that Tim Brando thing. I noticed we put that whole thing out, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours after we had Tim Brando on. And I mean, by the time I looked at it last night, about 7:00, just that one tweet I put out, had like 15,000 views or something like that. And I'm sure it has more now, but people are extremely critical right now of the way ESPN's handling things, the way the CFP thing. And then you have Baylor today, and they're just trying to get back into conversation. They were there during the Brazos days. They climbed back out and Rule and then into Aranda. The Bears had a bit of a seat at the table. The question I would say right now, Scotty, is like, where's the Baylor brand nationally right now? Where is it? Is it even it's so down? Like, they won a national championship in basketball. That was incredible. But when it comes to this football program and like the Baylor brand right now, it has regressed to such a alarming place. Can you start to rebuild it before you make any change at head coach, or with this new AD, or with this portal class? Maybe I'm not ruling it out. It would be incredible to have happen. Now the K-State story comes out, and Scotty, this is a weird morning for K-State people. Chris Kleiman, who was very emotional After one of those losses, they lost to Utah, I believe it was, and it was a tough loss. It was a crazy game. I want to say they lost like 48-45 or 51-48, something like that. And he was extremely emotional. He's a straight shooter. I think he's a heck of a football coach. And today, of all days, Scotty, they're getting ready to sign their class. Well, I don't know. Maybe they had some decommits too. Who knows? But there they are. Okay, early sign. They're all the coaches. Or you get to the facility and you're going to get. I don't know if they have faxes anymore, or they used to. You send your letter of intent in. But anyway, whatever you do now to celebrate the recruiting class. So the coaches are gathering, and then the story breaks. And it was Scotty. You may know off the top of your head. It was one of those Kansas State sites, that like a fan site. And so I don't have it in front of me. I'd like to give them credit at some point. But then, of course, everybody right behind it, ESPN and everybody else, confirmed it. Kleiman retiring. And then within minutes, it's like they're targeting, Colin Klein, their great former quarterback who's now the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M. And I think probably the fan base is very excited about that. Younger. Now, again, there's some A&M people will tell you Colin gets down there around the goal line sometimes and kind of loses his mind. Loves a good reverse when he gets down there on about the 5-yard line. Loves some good misdirection. So he will outthink himself, but he's done a tremendous job at A&M. Let's not act like he hasn't. They got the best receiving duo in the country probably, and Marcel Reed, though he played poorly against Texas, has had a brilliant season for the most part. He runs, he does a lot of good things, and this guy can coach. So Kansas State, and Scotty, it's hard not to see things through the lens of where Baylor is right now. And you and I had we had that question recently that I asked about kind of like, is there any coaching situation in the Big 12 right now that you wouldn't trade for? And unfortunately, people don't like the answer to that question. I mean, it's just like, I just think, and again, the good news is, boy, Aranda's hearing your message out there. If you think it's fallen on deaf ears, I found out today, he gets it. He is not quite as obtuse or unfeeling or whatever we would say as maybe I've led on or we think. I had some just interesting time with him today. And I'm not saying, oh my gosh, it's going to be great, they're going to win 10 games next year. I'm not trying to say any of that. I'm just saying he's going to try to make changes. Is there anything he can do that would satisfy this fan base right now other than just win a bunch of games? No, I get that. There's a couple of cosmetic things. I think there's a change that could happen on the staff that could get some folks excited. And I think there's some things that could happen in the portal. And they do have some money to play with in the portal now. Money that had been designated for this high school class, this high school recruiting class. But they've had so many players defect, and they had at least 5 players, 3 kind of headliner 4-star types, then an offensive lineman who went to Oklahoma State, and then another lineman who went to Rice. And Scotty, I think that last night was galling to a lot of Baylor fans. I mean, it stinks to lose anybody to anywhere, right? Michigan, or doesn't matter. I mean, Oklahoma State, that stinks. They got a new coach, they got more excitement, whatever. The guy went there, and they had a good point, Scotty. Like somebody said, well, Baylor hadn't had an O-line coach. I mean, they've done a good job of filling in, but Mason Miller, who's probably had a huge role in trying to recruit some of these O-linemen, decided to leave the team. And I forget exactly what all happened, but it was some kind of dispute, some kind of altercation that happened. They thought they could tamp it down and preserve things, and then decided they couldn't. So Mason Miller is gone. But a lot of Baylor's class is gone. So that part is unfortunate. Now, I'm very sensitive and have some empathy today, Scotty, for like the K-State people who are like, think about the people on that staff who still hadn't heard. I just don't know how much, from what I can tell, how much Kleiman communicated this. Was he asked to resign? Is there some kind of medical thing? Did he arrive at this on his own? Like, I just don't sense that anybody was given much, including the recruits, by the way. What do those recruits think? Now, the fact that Colin Klein is a young, exciting coach and he can show up, and they probably would let those guys, that class, leave if they wanted, because honestly, they kind of did them wrong. I mean, on signing day, they announced they got a new football coach, or they're about to hire a new football coach. And the coach that's been recruiting them has retired. I mean, the timing on it is weird and crazy, and I don't know the whole story here. But I do think about people on that staff and just kind of like, oh, really? I mean, like, we've been recruiting like crazy and helping you land this staff, and you're going to retire? I mean, I talked to Aranda a little bit about it today, and Dave was talking about how Kleiman is just a real, extremely genuine coach who just is very, very upfront and does not try to do like a lot of coaches do and bluff you or anything like that. Like, he's very upfront. But this was a weird thing to have happen today as the Kansas State job suddenly opens up, and here comes Colin Klein. I guess, Scotty, one thing I would think is just that it doesn't sound like to me that you could have all this lined up. Like, they had to know. So to wait and announce the retirement on signing day, it's just, the whole thing seems kind of odd. But anyway, I guess what I hope is that I think about that staff, but I also hope he's fine. He's okay. But it certainly sounds like maybe he was ushered along, and maybe this Klein thing has been kind of in the works a little bit. And meanwhile, Scotty, we hadn't even mentioned this. Poor old Penn State. I mean, they fired their coach like 2 months ago, right? And they can't. That's amazing. They tried to go after my man, Kalani Sitake. That's how you say it, Sitake. And he's just the greatest guy. Scotty, when I was mad at Dave a few years ago, Dave Aranda, he's like, I think I'd rather, he didn't want to come on with old Mosley anymore. I made it my goal each week to get the opposing coach, and we'd have Whittingham, and we had Kalani. And I'm telling you, you talk about falling in love with the head coach. Kalani is the coolest dude you can imagine. Like, anything, like the way he comes across is the way he is, man. He is amazing. So he has decided to stay. And Scotty, did you notice how he stayed? Like, apparently some of those big money people. And the other guy, I can't remember what he's into.
Yeah, old crumble cookies saved the day up there.
Do you like a crumble cookie? What do they do?
I'm a bad person to ask, Mosley. I'm about to be exposed here. I don't like cookies, generally speaking. Just not my favorite thing to eat.
That's all the time we have today, folks. That's just sad. My favorite, by the way.
If I'm gonna eat cookies, I'll tell you, not to just be anti-crumble here, but
Chips Ahoy.
It's gonna be Tiff's treats.
Okay,
Tiff's.
Good catch. Scotty's trying to bring in another sponsor.
Those are perfect cookies. Tiff's treats.
Let me tell you something. Those are fine. Those are great. I'd love to have Tiff treats. Come on. You want to put some up here? You want to put some up there? But JD Chippery, Dallas, Texas, 2 locations. Wow. JD's Chippery. And it is the greatest cookie in America. Scotty, just keep that close to you. Keep that thought. That's how bad my vision is right now, Scotty. I cannot see you. I literally
I am here.
Only see like a hat. I see like the invisible man. Hey, Scotty, before we say goodbye, something I dread doing each day, is saying goodbye. Because in fact, we've kind of, I don't think we've given our people everything they deserve today. But it's mainly because I had to go. I was with Dave. I was at work. I had a major thing that I was doing. Scotty, do you have that list over there? Can you run through just a few of those this Baylor signing class? I want to celebrate some of these kids.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Here's what I'll do, actually, Matt. I'm going to read all of them because there's not very many. It's a smaller group, and then I want to.
You don't have to take a little poke on the way.
No, that's okay. I'm gonna read all of them.
Good.
And then I'm gonna highlight 3 or 4 I'm really, really excited about.
Like a big check, like a Scotty asterisk.
So here's all of them in alphabetical order. Parker Almanza, tight end. Jalen Battle, defensive tackle. Jordan Davis, safety. Tyrone Morgan, you've mentioned today. Linebacker. Rylan Morris, the running back. Quinn Murphy at quarterback. Davion Peters, wide receiver. Jamarian Phillips, linebacker. Jamarian Richardson, cornerback. Donnell Robinson Jr., offensive lineman. And Kai Wesley, tight end. Let me tell you a few of these guys I'm really excited about. You mentioned Tyrone Morgan. I am also excited about Jamarian Phillips, the other linebacker in this class. This is a very athletic kid, kind of a late bloomer, a 3-star who, had he emerged maybe a season earlier, could be a potential 4-star at this point, an outstanding linebacker from South Oak Cliff. I think you combine this Jamarian Phillips, Tyrone Morgan, Caleb Burns, who showed some flashes this year. You have talent at that linebacker spot. The question is, what are you going to get out of it this next season? Kai Wesley, Matt, a 6'7" tight end out of Utah.
Yeah.
The fact that Utah and BYU are both top 15 teams, and you got this kid to come to Baylor. We saw what Michael Trigg could do, changing the offense for these Baylor Bears. He's obviously gone. I am not expecting any freshman to walk in and be Michael Trigg. But this is a 6'7" kid who has real ball skills. Kai Wesley could be an immediate contributor at that tight end spot. And Matt, I've been saying it for about 8 months. Quinn Murphy, I watch tape on these quarterbacks every year because I'm a geek about it. Quinn Murphy has the best tape since Seth Russell of anybody Baylor has signed at quarterback. He's the real deal. It is a huge step up in competition. Let's not even lie, from TAPS football in Texas to Power 4 football. But I think Quinn Murphy could develop into a really, really all-conference caliber quarterback in his career, and I hope he does it at Baylor.
But they probably need to go get a guy in the portal this year, because you don't want to put that kind of pressure on him.
You're not lying, unless they think Griffin's the guy.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's a lot of a lot of questions to answer in this portal. But those are some guys I'm excited about. Kai Wesley, man, 6'7" guy with hands at tight end. That could be special.
Don't forget Nate Bennett. He's in the mix. Our old friend Nate Bennett as well. Good Baylor legacy. There's another Baylor legacy in there in this class. Who was it? Is it Almanza? No, there's one big time Baylor legacy. The guys that signed, I'm very proud for them. I'm excited for their parents, and I did not want to make this whole show about who they did not get, because I knew if I kept bringing that up, it would be like the Bridge of Sighs. It would be Scotty just sighing the whole time. Now, Scotty, if you'll read me the Rice class.
I don't think I will.
It's been a good one. Any breaking news? I always hate, you know what I hate is when we finish and then I go, dang it, something big happened. Baylor played last night. We don't need to get into that. They beat Sac State pretty bad.
Giannis wants a trade. That's kind of lighting up Twitter in the last few minutes.
Giannis Mole's future in talks with Bucks. Okay.
Yeah,
but he had a chance to do that.
Hey,
okay. That CP3 thing was interesting. They just sent him home.
Yeah. Hey, I'll make a comment about signing day.
Signing day comment from Scotty.
And I will make the comment without context. Thank you, Bobby B is going to hold me to my Quinn Murphy sentiments. You should. I believe in that kid. Matt, do you know where the number one player in America signed today?
Number one. I thought the number one player in America was from Baton Rouge or something.
I don't remember where he's from. His
lineman.
His name's Kayshawn Henderson. He's a quarterback.
Oh.
He signed to play for the University of Houston.
Oh. Wait, the number one player in the country is what they're listing him as?
Correct.
Oh, man.
I'm going to look directly into this camera and just say the number one player in America wants to play for Sean Bell. Congrats, Coach Bell.
What are you talking?
Congrats, Coach Bell.
Oh,
way to go.
My goodness.
Way to go, Coach.
Like some kind of China Spring thing.
This happened. Is I have a vision for Baylor, Matt, a 3-year vision here.
Yeah. I mean, let's let the man, call some plays at some point before we start turning over the head coaching to him. I'd like to see him call a few plays, if you don't mind. Which teams have overachieved, Scotty? You brought up a good one. Houston Cougars, 1 5-star, 17 3-stars. Okay, but they brought them. Listen to this: 21 commitments at SMU, 6 4-stars. How many did Baylor get? Since they lost 3 of them, how many final? Quinn and is there one other one?
Quinn and the lineman Donnell or Force.
Did they get 2? Okay.
Donnell and Jalen are 4s. And if London Smith signs this afternoon, as we anticipate, that's 3.
Okay.
3 and 4 stars.
The quarterbacks that they think could start next year, that's true freshmen. These 2026 quarterbacks could start early. Jake Fett, Arizona State, and Oscar, because that's good because Levitt's going to the portal, I think. Oscar Rios, Arizona Wildcats. Wow. The 2 Arizona schools land big-time passers. Isn't that amazing how this happens? But the Bears got, hey, Quinn, you never know. You never know. I've got people in my life who are talking me out of that, but I think it's because of kind of where Quinn used to be. He used to be in the Houston area, and he moved up to the Metroplex, and maybe there was some bitterness over that. But we'll see. We'll see. I hope it. Hey, listen, he's a Bear now. He's got all the measurables. Let's go. Let's get him out there. Throw him in the mix. Let him go. I do know that as far as like if we did a whole thing on who is Coach Aranda's favorite recruit of the Aranda era, like just who have I heard him talk the most glowingly of? That, sir, is number 14 for the Bears. Ed Griffin. I don't know what number he is, really, but his name is Edward Griffin, the kid from Coppell. I've never heard Coach talk about anybody like what he talked about Ed Griffin, because he talked about him almost like a son. And he's got a son out there at Midway. Does a pretty good job. Had a big interception late in the season. Appreciate all the great times over on the Baylor campus today, the hospitality. Brent Ingram and his crew did a really, really good job. And you can't flip this thing in a day. You can't flip it in a week. We're going to see who this AD is, and that will start the path of where is this thing headed. And Dave Aranda gets a get out of jail free card. And I for one hope he makes the best out of it. I hope, what if they won 10 games next year, 9 games, and then they're like, what do we do? What do we do? You bring him back. That's what you do. His contract's till 2029. It's easy. You just bring him right back. And if he doesn't, if they have another poor season and they take another step back, then you go get a new coach, and everybody will get excited about that. So, there are options out there, and I understand everybody's anger right now. I understand it, but I read something, Scotty. This is the last thing I'll say, and it was something along the lines of that President Livingstone was making calls to the recruits. Come on now. Come on. Let's not do this. That does not pass the smell test to me. That the Baylor president was out there working the recruiting lines, trying to salvage recruits. That does not resonate with me. That sounds strange. But hey, she does love the school, and let's just hope good things are ahead. All right, Scotty, thank you, buddy. Thank you for this abbreviated show, which still, and even an abbreviated show, I think we accomplished a great deal today. And we will leave it with you. And we'll be ready tomorrow. And who knows, I may have some recruiting experts to react to all this. I'll have some things lined up. That is tomorrow at 1 o'clock, straight up. Thanks for everybody who was a part of this one. Thanks to Scotty Swingler, Rogue Media Network. We will see you tomorrow.